With the news update on WHTC Holland's Cool FM, I'm Gary Stevens. Today is day 8 of the 97th Tulip Time Festival, Holland's annual signature event. And among the spotlighted events, Holland Highlights and Tulip Time VIP tours, along with the Tulip Immersion Garden, all at Beechwood Church. Dutch life on display at the Van Raalte Farmhouse, historic walking tours beginning at Window on the Waterfront, the Art in Bloom Fine Art exhibit at the Holland Area Arts Council building, the quilt show at the Midtown Center, a Dutch lunch and dance performance at Evergreen Commons, the carnival outside the Herring of Holland Civic Center Place, Sweet Surrender performed at the Holland Community Theater, and illusionist Michael Carbonaro at Central Wesleyan Church. There will be Dutch dancing as well, not only at Centennial Park, but along a blocked-off 8th Street downtown. City Manager Keith Van Beek asked some of the performers which venue they would prefer.
Around Centennial Park, maybe it's a little more traditional and kind of being able to see everyone around the park, and it's a beautiful setting. They really like that part of the week. They do the performances there, but they say when you get the energy of being downtown and kind of in the long row of 8th Street with the buildings around and people even more tightly packed in, they said that has an energy. They kind of like that too, so I guess you can't go wrong.
The Tulip Time Festival runs through Sunday. An online link to the schedule of events and more is in this story at WHTC.com. An 82-year-old man lost his life after being struck by a vehicle while walking west of Hudsonville yesterday afternoon. First responders were dispatched to Van Buren Street near 40th Avenue just before 3 p.m. That was where a westbound Jeep driven by a 16-year-old Hudsonville boy struck the unnamed victim as he was crossing the roadway to get to a mailbox, apparently across from his home. The man died from his injuries at the scene, while the boy and his 14-year-old female passenger were not hurt. The incident remains under investigation. While the Tulip Time Festival winds down this weekend, another annual event along the lakeshore is getting a boost from Lansing. Yesterday, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development announced that the Ottawa County Fair will receive a nearly $12,000 grant to help pay for electrical services upgrades at its Park Township Fairgrounds. The work will not only support 4-H activities at the site, but also improve power stability for livestock areas, campers, and vendors. The award is part of over $500,000 in County Fair's capital improvement grants to 8 local fairs and infrastructure improvements. Ottawa County Fair officials look to have their work completed before this year's fair, slated for July 27th through August 1st. There will be easier access eventually to the Lake Michigan shore from a lakeshore park, but for a second straight year, that won't happen. On Wednesday, the Laketown Township Board agreed to a $210,000 plus contract with Holland-based Lakeshore Concepts to install adjustable aluminum stairs at Laketown Beach. This would replace wooden stairs, which had been in place for several decades, but were taken down last spring due to wear and tear. While Supervisor Stephen Ringelberg dissented, saying that the township was being poor stewards of taxpayer money by buying a Cadillac instead of a Ford, added that the governing panel would all be dead before wooden stairs would need to be replaced. But the sentiments of fellow trustee Mike Kuhlman won the day on a 3-1 vote.
I think the big key is the adjustability. The dunes are always moving. They're always shifting. It's a product that's gotten rave reviews from many, and I'm comfortable with call it the premium to go with a better product.
Lakeshore Concepts officials say that the 3-week installation would not take place until sometime between Labor Day and Thanksgiving. Laketown Township is seeking state grants to help fund a proposed 3-phase efforts for overall improvement to Laketown Beach Park. A decision on such requests is expected by year's end. It was a mixed bag of unemployment numbers along the lakeshore and across the state in March, according to figures disclosed yesterday by the Michigan Department of Technology, Management, and Budget. Based on data from the U.S. Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics, not seasonally adjusted unemployment rates fell in 8 of the state's 18 major labor market areas and in 43 of the state's 83 counties. Joblessness held steady in Ottawa County from February at 3.8%, while Allegan County slid a couple of tenths of a percentage point to 4.2%. A year ago, those numbers were at 4.6 in Ottawa and 5.3 in Allegan. State officials say that total employment and regional labor force levels are down over the month and year, although regional payroll jobs rose in March. No injuries were reported following a massive house fire in South Haven yesterday morning. The flames broke out before 9 a.m. inside a home on Phillip Street. Neighbors reported hearing some type of explosions coming from the residence. The home is considered to be a total loss to cause the fire, under investigation. The Wildwood off Main apartment complex in Kalamazoo Township has been suddenly condemned, leaving hundreds of residents homeless. The residents found bright orange signs on their doors yesterday announcing the township had condemned the property as being unsafe. A township building official says they had received several complaints over the past week from tenants. When they inspected the property, they found severely unsafe decks and stairways at every unit. New Earth Residential manages the apartments. They have around 80 properties in 15 states. The Hayloft Barn Theater in Portage has reopened a couple of years after being damaged by a EF2 tornado a couple of years ago. The barn was built in 1902, and Chief Operating Officer Adam Herringa says it's the feature of the Celery Flats historical area. The restoration of the structure took a year and a half to complete, cost $135,000, most of which covered by insurance. Additional support beams were added along with steel braces to support the midsection of the barn. The Portage Park Foundation says the tornado took out 38,900 trees in Celery Flats. Volunteers have worked to replant them. Another member of the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association has a new leader.
Carlin Crowley is the next president of Kalamazoo College. The private higher education institution announced yesterday that she will succeed George Gonzalez when he retires June 30th. Now, Crowley is currently the provost of Ohio Wesleyan University. She was the unanimous choice by the Board of Trustees of Kalamazoo College. A reception welcoming her, her husband, and their daughter to Kalamazoo is set to be held May 18th at 11 a.m. in Stetson Chapel. I'm Michael Arning.
Michigan Secretary of State, Democratic candidate for governor Jocelyn Benson, is supporting eliminating the Democratic and Republican Party nominating conventions for Attorney General and Secretary of State candidates. Benson says it's long past time for those to just go away and for people to vote on those nominations. She made the comments after touring the Rising Stars Academy in the Detroit suburb of Centerline, a charter school for adults with intellectual disabilities. Benson also supports moving the primary vote for statewide candidates from the first Tuesday in August to the first Tuesday in May. The University of Michigan is among schools that have been hit by a cyber attack against the Canvas platform, warning students that their personal information may have been compromised. The university has shut off access to Canvas out of an abundance of caution and urging students to log out of their accounts immediately. Canvas is used by students to message instructors, check grades, and submit assignments. University officials have not said how many students might be impacted or what data may have been exposed in the cyber attack. The Michigan United Conservation Clubs is shutting down next month after nearly 90 years of existence. The board of directors voted to dissolve the organization after being unable to raise $100,000. The group was the lobby arm of 32 separate fishing, hunting, and trapping groups in the state and was also the driving force behind the 1976 bottle deposit law, charging people 10 cents for every carbonized beverage. That dime would be refunded when the container was returned to be recycled. Noted outdoorsman Mike Avery posted disappointment about the development on social media. He may comment on this further on his weekly outdoor magazine program this coming Sunday at 5 a.m. on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM. The Tigers open a 3-game series in Kansas City against the Royals this evening. Bench coach George Lombard had to sub for suspended manager A.J. Hinch during Wednesday's 4-0 loss to the visiting Boston Red Sox at Comerica Park in Detroit.
A.J. preaches and we preach, like, if we want to be good, we have to take care of the baseball. So there's always areas to improve on that, and we're going to make mistakes, and we have to find ways to go back out and work on it and get better. So to get back to where we want to be, we just have to make plays.
Coverage with Dan Dickerson at 7:15 p.m. on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM. Miguel Amaya's 2-run single highlighted a 7-run fourth inning, while Michael Conforto homered and drove in 2 more runs as Craig Counsell's Cubs swept the visiting Cincinnati Reds out of Wrigley Field yesterday, 8-3.
It's a credit to these guys, how well they're playing. Today it's Michael Conforto on the offensive side. So we got a lot of guys playing at a high level, and that just adds up. Chicago begins a 3-game series in Arlington against the Texas Rangers tonight. The White Sox are home to welcome the Seattle Mariners to Wright Field in Chicago this evening. Cade Cunningham's 25 points, 10 assist performance helped J.B. Bickerstaff's Pistons top the visiting Cavaliers in NBA playoff action at Little Caesars Arena last night, 107-97.
Cade is just fabulous. He's a killer closer. All the adjectives you want to talk about, like he's it. And in the fourth quarter, he does his best work.
Detroit leads the best of 7 Eastern Conference semifinals, 2-0, with Game 3 in Cleveland tomorrow afternoon. Ariel Omonte and Kien Vu each smacked a 3-run homer as the visiting Dayton Dragons yesterday handed the West Michigan Whitecaps their 11th straight defeat, 8-5. The series at LMCU Ballpark in Comstock Park continues this evening. Game 4 of the AHL Central Division semifinals is at Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids tonight, with Griffins leading the visiting Manitoba Moose in the best-of-5 series 2-1. Get the latest news anytime at WHTC.com.